Hey everybody, this is Eddy Dacius. We here with another episode. Excited. So this is great episode because we have a wonderful guest today. Her name is Anna Thomas. She's the president and founder of Together We Stand Corporation, a nonprofit based in Fall River, Massachusetts. She, along with her family and friends, provides support service to understand individual by providing housing, life skill, connection to the community. So, Anna, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. So let's give a shout out to our sponsors. That's it for City Management. Call them now 617-227-0106 or go online www.daciusfm.com.
Do you want to maximize the value of your commercial property and achieve optimal productivity and efficiency in your day-to-day business operations? That's where Dacius Facilities Management can help. DFM offers Boston area businesses help in key areas like building and preventive maintenance, handyman services, project and vendor management, and even security consulting at competitive rates. Call Dacius Facilities Management now at 617-237-0106 or visit daciusfm.com today.
617-227-0106. This is the number you have to call if you're looking for facility management services. Yes, this is if you're looking for a great headshot for your LinkedIn profile, for your businesses, or your about page on your website, Barry Brownson Photography should be your solution. Should be the one you call 781-237-0495. Like we said, we have a great guest, and let's introduce the show.
Welcome to the Divine Purpose Podcast, where we transport you along one of the more dynamic journeys of life. Have you ever been curious to know what it takes to become a successful leader? Or about knowing the secrets of life through the Bible? How about engaging in conversation where no topics are off limits? We will take you to new levels with guests who can help you grasp the importance of your calling. Now, here's your host, Eddy Dacius, founder of Dacius Facilities Management.
Hello. So Anna, one question. So we have a famous question we ask our guests, and let's start with this. What can you tell us about you today?
Well, I can tell you that I'm a mom of 5. I'm a wife, a friend, a sister, an aunt, an entrepreneur, a leader. That kind of wraps up a lot of me.
So you said you're a mom of 5. Let's go a little bit more because when the good thing with Divine Purpose Podcast, when our audience they really want to learn more about you, your path to success, and all things started with you. So one question I'll ask you today is, can you share with us 3 challenges event in your life, and how did they challenge you?
Well, the first was becoming a teen mom. So it, forced me to grow up faster than I normally would have. But it gave me a great sense of responsibility, and I'm proud of that. Another major challenge is overcoming domestic violence. I was a domestic violence victim for many of years through different relationships. And overcoming that was, it was hard, but it gave me a sense of power once being able to leave those situations and also choose different partner.
Yeah.
The third thing was coming from where I came from, which is kind of like poverty, I would say. It was like we were poor. I grew up poor, and I also grew up as an abused child. So the major challenge, obviously, there was, surviving. So today, I look back on all those challenges and just say that, without even knowing the full relationship that I had with God, I always had a relationship with God from early on because I just believed in him and he guided me through all those challenges.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing, because this is, and some people, we have people coming back saying this podcast allowed them to appreciate what they accomplished, or looking back and kind of give them strength to promote or push more awareness into their situation, things they are passionate about. But let's go. You mentioned you grew up in poverty, and yeah. So any childhood memories you can share with the audience today?
Positive ones, or
Yeah, it's up to you. Like I said, we this podcast is like a lens. We're looking at Anna Thomas today. She's an entrepreneur. She's successful. She's raising her kids, but her upbringing kind of shaped who she is today. So we need to learn, because we might be in that same path. Like somebody might be, when you were 10 years ago, that's there 10 years ago today. So, and whatever they listening or whatever advice you will share with us may shape their future to a brighter future.
okay. So, without going into every detail, but I grew up with a mother that suffered from mental health. At the time, I did not know that she was suffering from mental health.
Yeah.
So I was, physically abused, like on a daily basis, again, mental health. I was able to have my grandmother as sort of a refuge to go to. But when I went to my grandma's house, it was lots of love. I had aunts and uncles there. But my grandmother, that was, I guess you would say, the place where that was poor. But she was rich with love and caring and understanding for everyone. But financially, she, received government checks on a biweekly basis or first of the month, received food stamps. But she was very resourceful in the sense of she knew what community agencies to reach out to. And for whatever reason, I was hyper aware of what was going on during that time. And I'm talking about when I was like in single digit numbers in age, maybe up until like 12.
Okay.
But one of the highlights that I remember at my grandmother's house was on Saturdays, I would watch cartoons with my uncle. And we would watch Creature Double Feature and Spider-Man and Kung Fu Theater. And I just remember that really being a happy time, Saturday mornings, watching that with him.
And thank you for sharing. And we had a guest. He does taekwondo, but his interest was on Saturday night. Saturday morning, after cartoon, they have martial art show. So kind of related to what you were saying. So let's go on a positive note.
Mm-hmm.
Which of your accomplishments are you the proudest?
I'm the parent that I am, actually. I do have like a lot of highlights in my life, but my proudest accomplishment is, so I have 4 adult children and 1 teenager still. I feel like growing up with my children, because again, I was a teen mom all the way throughout the years, they grew up with me and I didn't, have, the teachings of how to do it. So I took like things that I knew that would be positive and what I wanted to be as a parent, and then what I didn't want to be. And I, threw those out and learned from that. So the accomplishments that they have, which, I don't know if I can go into just tell you what their occupations are, but I have a son that's a real estate agent and a landlord. I have a son that's
Wow.
an optician and also a landlord. My daughter just got her master's in social work from
Wow.
Boston College. Very proud of her.
Mm.
Yes, I have my 16-year-old. He is on the spectrum. However, he graduated from his IEP. He's all A's in school, 10th grade.
Wow.
Yeah, so proud. And then, I have my other son who's 26, and I would say he's been my challenge throughout the years because you have to have one. But thankfully, he's alive, healthy, and well, and it's a day by day.
No, that's good to share because that relate to people who have kids and to kind of have me. I was raised by a single mother, and she did everything for us in terms of like going beyond
Mm-hmm.
her knowledge, finding like resources to kind of guide us to a better life. So, but now my question will be about a compliment. What's the best compliment you ever gotten?
The term shiro, I have been called numerous times shiro and a role model. Um, and it's come from a variety of different people and places in my life. So even on the professional spectrum as well as the personal, and that I take pride in that, and I really choose to live my life so I can be that for someone.
Yeah, and thank you. Like I said, we're very appreciative of your time and the way you wanna allow us to know more about you. So let me ask you this question now. What was your path to college, and what was the most difficult thing? I know some people, and I'm gonna try to kind of guide you to a way to answer. I had a guest, and he just mentioned that he had to go to UPS, work, find out that they do tuition reimbursement, and then go to college. So now I don't know what's your process. What was your path to college?
So my path started early, again, from having to grow up fast. So I got my GED. So I got my GED, what would have been in 10th grade. Then I went to various community colleges, a few of them, but always having to leave because, work, childcare. So just throughout the years, just tried it on and off different colleges till this last time of me trying it. And I actually was going to school with my daughter. I went to BCC with my daughter. She was getting her degree in science, and I was getting mine in human services. So I guess I would say what's important about this journey to college, though, I just want to back up 1 second, is that when I went to the financial aid that time, because I had been, trying to do this journey so many different times, I owed money. And so they said, you can't start school until you pay this amount. So prior to that day, I had met with, and I can't remember exactly what he was, but he was something to do with like helping you pick out your schedule and things like that. So I went out on the stairs and I waited and I was contemplating, like, how am I going to pay this money? Or is this just not the right time for me? The man walked up the stairs and he said how to go because he was the one that told me to go there that day and do what I needed to do. And I said, it didn't go well. And I told him what happened. So he said, follow me. And he walked me back in. He spoke to a couple of people. And needless to say that after speaking to those people, they made a payment plan with me in order for me to attend that semester.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. So there's a question I started to ask a few guests lately about transferable skills. Things you learn from job to job, but you're still using now. Is there anything that come in mind in terms of transferable skills?
oh yes. And so I've been in different careers. I was a cook, a cosmetologist, and now a social worker in human services. And with all that, I think it comes down to the effect that you have on people. And like for me, I've always, I guess, been in fields where I was a server.
Yeah.
And being that to people, I think it's a blessing to be able to do that. And what I would say that in each one of those roles up until now, it's just that to do the best that you can, right? And leave the rest to God. So whatever it is that I tend to do in one role, from one role to the next, I just do my best. Make sure that I'm learning everything that I need to learn and to develop in that role, and leave it being great.
Yeah. So let's jump right with Together We Stand. Mm-hmm. And I know that's your baby. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to make sure I give you some time to talk about it. So the first question will be, because we hear people starting the business, people did a lot of things, but not everybody's breaking down the process the proper way. Mm-hmm. Can we agree where like you need to sit down, get the vision right, and then start applying for things? So let me hear your process to start Together We Stand.
You're right. It started with a vision. It started with a thought. So while working as a housing manager for a hospital, and I worked with complex patients and that were coming from homelessness, and I worked on trying to get them housed. So one day I was, sitting there, and this is a little around COVID, I want to say 2021. And yeah. I said, I'm going, and this has been a thought, but I just didn't know what nonprofit that I, exactly it was going to serve, what population of people. So, but I said, okay, I'm going to create Together We Stand. So I went on, a website. I don't know if I can name them or not. I went on a website, and they helped me to create, the name, and set me up, with everything that I would need to, in order to form this nonprofit. And so again, I wasn't sure and so much what exact direction it would go, but I knew that I wanted to serve people that, were suffering from substance use disorder, homelessness, but I also wanted to touch on the youth too, because again, I was young, I had kids, and, just the different generations of seeing, what's lacking for youth and the needs. So I'm like, I want to form something that I can serve two populations or multiple populations of people.
Good.
So again, I went through the legal aspect of it, formed it, but still had a full-time job. And so I made a decision basically that in order for me to really develop this and feed what it is I was trying to accomplish, I would have to leave the full-time job. So I left the full-time job. But prior to leaving the full-time job, I obtained the single family home that I have for the people to live in. And then I got part-time jobs in order to build up Together We Stand Corporation.
So, and this is great because that's like the first steps, right? But we had a guest, his name is Ryan Street. He was saying, when you start the business, you're very optimistic. Like you have that, it's high, and then like reality check in. So did you have a reality check in moment?
Ooh, yes. I have that periodically though. So, but the first reality check in moment was, okay, yes, there was a need for the service that I was, providing to people. However, the people I'm dealing with human beings. So it's different than selling, a piece of merchandise or, something in that way. My business basically succeeds off of humans succeeding.
Yeah.
And so the reality check was this house wasn't going to be full of people that were ready to make these steps in their life. So I have people that's coming, people that's going. However, the bills need to be paid, and that was my this it's harder. It's harder than what I envisioned.
And I will kind of go deeper. So there's something people always say where I wish I knew this. Is there something you wish you knew before you started your Together We Stand?
I wish I knew that the people that said they were going to be there to support were not actually going to be there. Yeah.
So what happened?
So throughout my these past roles in human services, I've met a lot of people along the way, and some I would say that were people of influence and that were supportive in words, but when it came to my company is a nonprofit, so we we thrive on fundraising, we thrive on donations. That's how we succeed, how we live. And so when it came time to to do the fundraising and to do the donating and to be supportive in that way from the ground up, I just didn't have those people of influence that I thought that I would have.
Yeah, and sorry to hear that, because I know this is difficult, in me interviewing a lot of people in that spectrum in terms of nonprofit. So let's go with advice you will give people who first might be in a situation where they want to go to college and they have to focus on childcare.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. And then let me have you respond to that, and we're gonna build up with our questions.
That childcare is like one of the toughest obstacles or barriers when it comes to going to school or going to work. And I would just say, look at the systems, right? And try to find out ways, basically to maneuver these systems, because, sometimes it's like, you can't make X amount of money, or you don't qualify for this voucher for this childcare, or the childcare is not during the hours that you need it to be. But I would just, I've always just never just took no, or never just like been stuck. I always try to, find a way. So I use the internet, people, like just different community agencies to get information.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do have to like change your game plan to adjust and to adapt to the current situation.
Yeah.
And that could mean that, okay, I thought my idea of going to school would look like this, but first I have to do X, Y, and Z, and I still will get to go to school. But first, let me do this and that, so I can be able to get this childcare or afford this childcare in whatever way that may look like.
Yeah, and I was asking this question because looking at some people, they're very like women, they're like very successful, but sometimes they have to make a choice where they focus on themselves, but we don't have a lot of example of people who focus on childcare and in their education, which we know some. It might be a handful of people who are successful. But in your opinion, what would be a path or any advice you would give somebody that kind of want to go higher in their education or focus on like having a successful life?
Planning. So preparation and planning. And so like we all can have ideas in our head and they can just be scattered thoughts. Like for me, if it works on paper, then it's going to work. Right. So I write down my goals and I write down my plans. And short term, really, I have the long term, but I have the short term. Like, what does today look like? What does this week look like? What does this month look like? So that helps me to like check off, the task and things that I needed to do or accomplish. And then if I didn't do it, it's still on there and going into the next week, or the next month and trying to accomplish that.
And this is great to organization skill. And is this something that, because I see like a lot of people, especially entrepreneur, one thing they either excel or something they lacking, they feel like it's organization skill. And you just mentioned something about vision, like have a vision, take the time to write it down. Mm-hmm. When did you started to implement that in your life? Was it something you learned from your parents, or you kind of have to grow with it and then make it like a routine?
So I developed that on my own. Again, I attribute everything to having to grow up sooner than I would have necessarily had to if I didn't have children. So with children, you're never by yourself. You're always responsible for someone. So in order for me to hold that responsibility the way that it needs to be done, I have to be organized. And for me, organization starts within the home, within your space. So I do not like chaos. I don't like a mess. And so once I know that my home is organized and, free of chaos, then that allows my mind and my brain to think and prioritize.
Wow.
So I prioritize.
And any advice for people who their job require them to prioritize things?
Yes. For one, and this term is thrown around a lot right now, but I really believe in self-care. So I have to take care of myself first before I can prioritize anything. So the task that my employer has me to do, yes, I'm going to work and I'm getting paid for the job, but I want to make sure that my time management and if it's feasible. And so what I have learned, right, and this is something I recently just learned, because I kind of was like a person that, would say no. Yeah. However, I learned to say yes and then attempt to do what it was being asked. And then, depending on the outcome, that shows the employer or whoever it is that's asking you to do this, whether it's actually feasible to be done or not. Right. Because I think that we take on a lot of things and we say yes, 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 or no, 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 whatever, without, basically actually trying it and seeing how it actually plays out.
All right. So well said, Anna. Let's jump to our break now. So this is Eddy Dacius with Divine Purpose Podcast. We had a wonderful guest, Anna Thomas. She's the founder, principal of Together We Stand. Let's go back on a quick break.
What comes before making a smart decision? Choices. A smart choice is the best option, which is who we are. That's why our clients expect more from us and, in return, get more in everything we do. We understand the problem. That's why we thrive for excellence. We don't just create a winning culture. We aspire to be a smart choice, a voice for solutions. We believe in integrity, professionalism, and teamwork. Our passion is to bring results from our clients by working harder, smarter, and faster. As a team, we always deliver because we recognize your needs. Choosing smart influences us to be the best version of ourselves. That makes us different than other companies. It makes us confident in achieving our goals. It makes us who we are. And it makes us DFM, the smart choice.
Yes, call them now, 617-237-0106, or go online, www.daciusfm.com. And so we're going to go to Hot Topic. So, I love Hot Topic because that's a chance to go deeper on our conversation. But before we go, Let me ask you a few questions. Um, some people might get where you were like maybe 20 years ago. Any advice you can share with our audience, people that can relate to your story? I don't want to categorize it. I want to make sure you're free to give any advice, looking at whatever you feel like might be important.
I guess I always say don't give up, no matter where you're at in your life, right?
Yeah.
Today may not look like tomorrow, and it most likely won't look like tomorrow. So, really taking it one day at a time, like planning for tomorrow, but also knowing that, tomorrow may not come, right? And that's not to seem um, in a negative way, but tomorrow's not promised to none of us. So, like, really living up and fulfilling, what you want for yourself or those that you love or care for, and getting it done today as much as you can, and not putting it off tomorrow, but preparing that if tomorrow comes, that you're going to be ready.
Speaking of never give up, what kept you going in terms of your motivation, or do you get fuel? What's your routine to keep going every day?
God.
Wow.
So, yes, I really have to give it to God. Without him, I don't know where I'd be. I've just been through a lot. Many lifetimes. I say I've lived multiple lives because I've just come through different decades of transformation. And along the way, I've always, every day, there's not a day that goes by or a few hours that goes by that I don't thank God, even in the midst of the I'd say the hard times, because in those hard times, I'm learning lessons, and I'm still receiving, blessings. So I just, throughout my day, like, I'm always just, thanking God for everything.
We talk about success. We talk about accomplishing things. We talk about accolades, right? And how important is success for you?
Success for me, I'll tell you what it looks like, and then I'll tell you the important. So success to me is seeing, what I set out to do being fulfilled. Like, so say that I set out to do a certain goal or task or help a certain individual or whatever it is. That and it gets done. That's a success. So my ultimate goal is to be doing the work that I do and to be able to live comfortably while doing it, and not robbing Peter to pay Paul. So
Yeah.
I've had those moments in life where I was financially comfortable with and doing the things that I want to do, but they're kind of short-lived. So my success would be to have a continuous flow of me doing what I'm doing as far as helping others, but also being financially secure for me and my family.
And thank you for sharing. And I think that's great. Let's go about a quicker, not a quicker note, but just going back to what you said earlier in terms of understanding your path, making a plan. But there's something called confidence. You have to have that confidence, and there's doubt too. Or did you balance both? Because sometimes it's a balance. One might be higher than the other. What's your process?
So I actually reach out to my support system. So that could be my husband, that could be my children, that could be my close friends. It could be some peers. But we all have, like I say, we all have doubt. So I'm a very confident person. I believe in myself. I believe that God's not going to let me down. I believe that I haven't come this far, just come this far. However, there are those moments that it's like everything is hitting at once, and it's like you can see the other side and you know that it's possible, but you just need that encouragement and
Yeah.
those words of wisdoms that, come from those people that believe in you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is a great time to jump into hot topic. So are you ready?
Yes.
So you're probably gonna have fun with that sound effect with hot topic. Like it's a construction site, so we digging. We're gonna go deep in on hot topic. So hot topic for you, Anna, is where do you see nonprofit organization going forward? Because they are everywhere and we need them, but the financial struggle is big too. So what's your forecast for nonprofit organizations?
Well, if I had an ideal vision for nonprofit organizations, they would get the grants without so much jumping through hoops and red tape, and it just seems like. And I'm going to speak from myself, which I'm a woman, but I'm a woman of color. So I'm even more behind the ball than others may be when it comes to applying for grants. The criteria and the stipulations that, the grantees or grantors
Yeah.
put on, nonprofits, sometimes it can be quite burdensome. And I just feel like it needs to really be on the individual. And I know it's hard, but like look at the nonprofit itself, right? And look at what the mission is and what the goals are, and not so much as how long they've been around, because I feel like the toughest struggle for me, one of them, is that they want you to already be existing for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
But you have to start somewhere. You're a newborn and so you can't get 10 years old overnight. So it's just like having, that belief. I was fortunate to have a grantor, which, is kind of a major organization in Massachusetts that helps with homelessness, believe in me and believe in Together We Stand and what I was doing, which was, different than other organizations that are doing the work that I'm doing. So my wish would be that there was more, major grantors that, don't have so much barriers and obstacles and red tape that people have to go through.
Would you agree that running a nonprofit is costly?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I'll have you to answer, but to kind of lead you to the question is, I work with nonprofit because I'm a facility manager. I have my business. We do a lot of work for nonprofit, and my thing is, the common thing they always have is like budget is tight. It's hard and they need the work, and like if you really want to be a successful profit organization, you need to have a great grant writer in your staff, which so I'll let you talk.
No, you're 100% right. And throughout my work, I actually took a grant writing class myself, just so I can have knowledge about it. Am I a grant writer? No. Have I applied for small grants that basically support the work that I do? A partner with Mass Save, which is, to help people to have financial education on how to save on utilities and things like that. So I applied for those type of small ones, and I did receive those. But when we're talking about financial, substantial, amounts that can kind of be game changing for your nonprofit, like, yeah, the people that you have to pay to write the grant,
Yeah.
and you have to pay them before money's coming in. So you're using the money that you have to pay for the grant writer for a
Which
grant
is not guaranteed, right? Too
right,
right. Yeah.
that you may not get. So that's really tough. And then, you know, it's just very hard. So the more knowledge I'd say that the nonprofit can have on trying to do things on their own, the better.
Okay.
So again, I try to do what I can do for Together We Stand on my own when it comes to seeking, financial support. And then if I feel like, okay, I have a high probability of getting this particular grant, then I'll reach out and, pay.
So, do you have a wish list in terms of like what would you like to happen to your organization? And this is your time to give a shout out, like Divine Purpose Podcast have a great wish, and you never know who's gonna listen. You never know.
Well, Divine Podcast. My wish for Together We Stand Corporation is to have our Miss Ann's house that we support financially full of residents that are, in a place in their life that are ready to thrive and to, overcome their substance use disorder, their mental health, or just someone that is unstably housed and needs a place to be until they can get something that they can afford. Our
Yeah.
goal is to obtain more properties at like multifamily levels to provide supportive housing services to people that still can't afford their own apartment because, as you see, the way the market is right now, but they're able to, pay something that their income can afford. So we want to have a building block for people and multiple properties, work with other landlords to rent to people that have like, not your typical housing history that may have had an eviction in the past or, may have been couch surfing and never had their own place, but to give them opportunity to, get their own place and have community agencies work with them to support them to stay stably housed.
And this is another question, and thank you for your answer. I think that was amazing to hear. This question is about where we have a lot of nonprofit out there, and we feel like some people looking in might say it's a trend where you see a bunch of nonprofit. Do you believe that is a trend, or do you believe it's a necessity?
Yes. I believe that why we're probably seeing a lot right now is because, again, I feel like COVID was a chance that opened a lot of people's eyes, right, to see, what we need in our communities and what we're lacking or what we can do individually as people to, make some changes. And so I think that's why there might be more nonprofits coming out of the woodwork than it was before, because people, I'm going to just use the term, they woke up, right? This is where we're at. This is what we need. And it showed us, that during that time where we had to sit still for a minute.
Is there a big misunderstanding about nonprofit you would know or you can share with us? A misconception?
Yeah, that there's two. I feel like there's one that's from one side that I guess there's like some may feel like, it's not legit. It's not like, honest. It's not, transparent, some nonprofits. And, there's been a bad reputation for those ones that, in the past have not done the right thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Then there's the misconception that you make all this money, having a nonprofit because you don't, this is non-taxable and this and that, whatever. But from my reality of having a nonprofit, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done in life. I am an entrepreneur. I've had my own hair salons. I've had my own cleaning company. and they did well. I just chose to leave that line of work alone and, go into this. And I would say this is the hardest, business that I've ever had.
Is it because of the way? Is it the market? Is it the funding issue? What would be the hardest part of running a nonprofit?
Yeah, because you're dependent on others, right? You're dependent on funding, and the funding coming from another source. I mean, I put all my own, money into it, but your money alone is not going to run it.
Yeah,
So it's the depending on outside sources of funding, fundraisers. And again, I work with people in my field, for the nonprofit. So, it's depending on the human beings. And, if they are successful in their path. So, in the other roles of entrepreneur, like at the hair salon and the cleaning company, like if I knew if I put this effort out there that I would receive, right?
yeah,
I was
yeah,
guaranteed to be paid for my services, put it that way.
yeah,
This, you're not guaranteed to be paid for your services.
yeah. And we're talking about long hours too.
Yeah,
Long
absolutely.
hours, yeah. So this is Eddy Dacius and with Anna Thomas on a hot topic. So hot topic today, I think Anna did great, and we're gonna jump to another segment. So this segment is great because it's your time to shine. It's a bragging segment, like we call it. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. We're not gonna tell you whatever you tell us. It's it's your time. Say, trust me, I know this, and we're gonna go into trust me, I know with Anna Thomas. So trust me, I know with Anna Thomas. So I'm gonna not. It's gonna be you. It's your mic. Take your time and tell us about Trust Me, I Know.
Okay. So trust me, I know that it's hard. I know that life is hard. Trust me, I know that if we do our part, then God's going to do his part. Trust me, I know that, you know, as much as we want to depend on people, trust me, I know, coming from a person that doesn't like to depend on people, that it can be hard. And when you're don't and trust me, I know not to focus on the outcome, right? Focus on the here and now and in the moment, and not to say, well, if I do this, I may not get this in return, or this may happen, or if this person doesn't do this, their outcome may be that. We don't know what our outcome is going to be. We can only just have faith and trust the process, and trust us in the work that we do. And that, trust me to know that this is a marathon and it's not a race. So you got to be in it for the long haul. There's going to be some really tough times, some hard nights, but there's always brighter days. Trust me, I know that.
Wow, well said. And this is Eddy Dacius, and this is the end for Trust Me, I Know. And I think Anna did a great job. All right, so Anna, so this is we at the end of our great conversation, and thank you for being here, and really appreciate it. And this is one thing I like about interviewing people on Divine Purpose Podcast is, yes, we send the email, we schedule you, but we don't know how the conversation's going. And this end up to be one of the best conversation we had, because you talk about so many things and you give a lot of advice. So reflecting on all the things you accomplish, let's say you have to choose one thing as a trophy. you're looking at your life and you can turn one thing as a trophy and you're gonna hold it high, very high, what that thing will be?
Me.
Let's go.
Me.
Let's go.
Me. Again, at some point in time, I hope to be able to tell my story to the world, but I'd say that I'm the trophy because coming from what would have been, looked at as they're never gonna be anything or do anything, or I'm really a diamond in the rough, and I feel like God has blessed me, and He blessed me so I can be that shining light or that trophy for others to see.
And I agree too. But one thing you said, it's already in the world because we worldwide with divine purpose. So anybody from the world can listen to Anna Thomas interview with us. Let's go on a fun fact from you. I know you're a cook. When you're not worrying about family, so what do you do to kind of relax yourself?
So TV, and that's like one of those things. But
Yeah.
I look to TV because it takes me outside of my world and what I'm doing. So I'll look at things that just make me laugh. So I love shows that make me laugh. So that's what I'll do.
Are you big on travel? Or are you big? I know. Is it cooking? Because you said you a cook. You work. Or is it? So what's the life for actual cook in the household? Do you have to prepare the same thing as you were working, or is it less work?
So now it's funny that you say that. I have to cook like 2 separate meals because my general family household eats meat and things of that nature, and then me and my daughter more. She is a pescatarian, so no meat or anything, and I'm a flexitarian, and I say that because I'm trying to be more like my daughter in that way. But from time to time, I still like to have some steak or some chicken or something. So and now it's different from before. I used to have to cook every day, put it that way. Now, since my household is dwindling in size, I'm able to cook like every other day or every couple of days. And then my husband, will get me something to eat in the meantime, or they'll fend for themselves. So that's the life of the cook.
No, makes sense. So any favorite movie you can share with us today? Favorite movies?
Yeah, it's The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. Why do you like it?
Because I admired him, Will Smith in the movie, and it just reminded me a lot of myself and just, how hard times can be, but like you have to show up. You still have to show up. I say that I got 5 minutes to break down. And then after that, I got to pick myself up and keep going.
All right. So a last word for you, Anna.
Well, I appreciate the Divine Purpose for having me. This is my first podcast. And
wow, you did great.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say the reason that I, chose to do this was because your title of your podcast, because I believe in purpose and I believe in divine intervention. And so those two things together, it made me excited and really want to do this. But I'm happy that I did it.
No, and thank you. So we appreciate you being here with us today and to add to our family as guests, because one thing for us, I never had an episode by myself. I always have a guest, and I've been blessed to hear a lot of stories, and I feel like I relate to each of my guests, where all of them we still communicate either from other opportunities so one thing is I'm just welcome you to the Divine Purpose family, and thank you for being a wonderful guest. So this is a chance to support our podcast, give a little, help a lot. Let's create a brighter future by learning and sharing each other's journey. If you like this content, please scan this QR code to donate. We have a Venmo, we have a Cash App, we have a PayPal. You can donate any amount from $20, $25 to $500 or more. And if you donate $500 or more, you get a free spot to advertise on the podcast. Like I said, we very excited to add Anna Thomas to this, and we definitely will release that episode. Please go on DPPodcast.com for more content. Anna, last word.
Thank you, Eddy. I really appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you. See you guys soon.